Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. I am guided by Spirit. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. So, as a case study, I'm going to be looking at the Reeva and Oscar crime scene, unfortunately. And when this case broke in 2013, it was big news and tragic news, because at the time Oscar was a well-known Paralympic athlete and dating model Reeva Steenkamp. And I haven't put all the crime scene elements in here, but to give you the story, if you're not familiar, it is a South African story, and that is on the night in question, which was effectively Valentine's Day, the night before Valentine's Day. And this impacted a lot of people around the world, and of course a lot of South Africans. And of course, the company that I was working for at the time of the murder, Urban Brew Studios, were part responsible for broadcasting the live court case. And of course, that was the talk of the town for many months. So on the evening of question, Oscar claimed, if you don't know the case, woke up during the evening, heard a noise, and feared for his life, and walked around the bed without his legs. So he didn't have his prosthetics on. So in his mind, he was in danger. And when he heard the noise, he claimed he heard a noise in the bathroom. And now you must realize that Reeva was in the bathroom with the door closed, and you couldn't see into the bathroom, right? And he thought it was, according to him, was an intruder, so he shot 4 times. 4 times into the small cubicle with a serious weapon. And apparently, as I'm recalling, the bullets that he had in the gun were hollow points. And I mean, to be shot 4 times at close range, that is detrimental. Now, part of the other evidence, and we won't get too specific in terms of the court case and that, but we're going to look at the day and the event. There were 2 cell phones close by the shower area, if I recall correctly, that for whatever reason had been wiped. And I still don't believe that all that information has been retrieved or made public anyway. But I believe Reeva may have stumbled upon something and caused this reaction. Alright, so I've got Reeva and Oscar Pistorius here. Here's their date of births. So at a first glance, they have very, or should we say, they have matching. And he's also got a 30-year, beg your pardon. They have matching life path numbers and outcomes. So very much similar personalities. And of course, they both were at the time very high profile. Reeva, we could argue and say, although she was well known, was in a sense really about to launch with what she was doing. And interesting to note, they have similar outcomes. And let's sort that out. Now, Reeva, born August 19, has the 19-10-8 and the 27-9-18-9 and the 21-3 in the year that she's born. So if we want to take it on, let's look at Reeva first. So the 27-9-89 in a positive aspect in the normal are very creative numbers. She's an artist, performer. And with these 9s also brings in that higher self, higher learning, very intelligent woman. She was by no means just a pin-up model. And with all these 3s, is about the way she looks, design, the model, fashion. So she definitely was in the right field, as it were, and doing very well at the time. So a lot of 3s, very feminine, design, look, the model. These 1910 is a good business number, and you'll note she has the 9 there, so which tags the 9s here. So highly, highly creative human being, Reeva. Okay. And she was only 17, 27, almost 30. Very young. Now, if we look at Oscar has got rampant power numbers. 11-2, power number, very good business number, engaging number. 22-4, also very good, powerful number, very much about the facts, the figures. And with the combination of that brings in the 33-6, highly creative as well, if you wanted to be. But of course, the 6 brings in his athletics, running, the competitor, very highly competitive with the 6s, all the 6s. The problem here with Oscar is that he's got too many 6s. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6s. This is where the concept of obsessive compulsive comes in, right? Is when people have too many 6s, that's what comes around, obsessive compulsive. Okay? Can be highly agitated people, stressful people. 6 does bring stress. 6 is stress. 6 is heart. And if reputation precedes itself, 6 is the angry man. 6 is the angry man. And of course, with Oscar's disability, that brought a lot of negative attention to him growing up. And that would have upset him, obviously, and would have played a significant role in his life. However, with all these 6s comes a lot of anger as well. So, ticking time bomb, as it were. This 15-6 is the guy number, the bragger, the big man. There's lots of rumors of what he was like before the event. Now, if we look at the event itself, so Reeva arrives at Oscar's home on February the 13th during the afternoon, or later in the afternoon, which is here from this moment. And, well, we can actually go from here, actually. She arrives there in the day. There's also speculation whether it was an impromptu meeting or if the relationship was already in a bit of turmoil. There are other rumors on the other side of the camp as well, that she may have started a relationship with someone else. But that's speculation at this stage. I don't have that. But we'll have a look. So 15-6 here in the day pings directly on Oscar. So she's obviously coming to see Oscar. It's all about Oscar. 15-6 here. I'll just make the 15 green. coming together, bit of a party. However, when we have this 14-5 on the chart here, now there were speculation that the relationship wasn't exactly going well. She may have been seeing someone else or interested in someone else, and Oscar being insecure that he was. We find ourselves in a situation. So the 14-5 brings around a little bit of bullshit in the air. So it's almost like, you know, the feeling of, well, it's Valentine's evening, so we must do this even though we don't want to, and things aren't really that great, but we're doing it because it's tradition. And even the next day, so the 14-5, when the police arrive on the scene, they find Oscar covered in blood, of course, because, because once he shoots through the door, according to him, he goes back to the bedroom and then only discovers that Reeva's not in the bed, so it must be her. So he grabs his legs here, number 5, here in the corner. He grabs his legs, runs back in, bashes the door down, pulls Reeva out the cubicle and takes her downstairs, taking her away from the crime scene. The issue is when this happens, like, I believe it was like 2 a.m. round about there. It was early hours in the morning. But interestingly, we also have another 14-5 here. And according to his statement, is he believed there was an intruder in his house. And the intruder, by the way, let me just zoom out here. If you see this window on the left here, the assumption is that whoever was the intruder, supposedly, had put a ladder up here. So we've got a burglar intruder who happens to find a ladder on the outside, lucky for that person because everyone leaves their ladders outside. And then climbs in but runs into the door because the intruder hears Oscar coming. Yeah, right. Jump out the window maybe. This case always bothered me. Now, the assumption I'm going to make, but there's strong evidence here, there was always the issue of the phones. So what was he doing on his phone that freaked Reeva out? And 14-5 is not a nice number when you're dealing with older men and younger people situation. And we have evidence of 16-7, and that speaks about serial behavior. See, 15-6. Men behaving badly like porn, right? Now, interestingly, numerology just does reveal familiarity, so it was the boyfriend. The communication about the event is bullshit, so we got already confirmation 14-5, and we got 8s, which is all about communication here as well, all lies. Because Oscar, immediately when the police arrived, Oscar was blabbing away of what transpired. So all these 8s, right? But it obviously, as we know it now, was bullshit, right? But the evidence is showing here 14-5's foul play. Serial behavior is the issue online, yeah? Issue amongst the couple. Now, if we look in the reflection zone, so if we go here, so 89 is in the day. So now, at the start of this event, we note, we note that the day begins with Oscar's number, 15.6. But now in the reflection zone, so we got 18.9, which pings on Reeva's 18.9 here. Arguments, 26.8. Now we know there was shouting going on. Neighbors heard shouting. 26.8, aggressive, violent. This is the shouting match, 26.8. 17.8 is the unfortunate demise of Reeva. 17.8. And I believe, because that cell phone, the two cell phones found outside the shower, which is right next to the cubicle, how did the phones get there and why were they there? No one, as far as I recall, no one could really say. If I might need to go back to the court documents, but everything had been wiped on those phones. So yeah, we've got 19.10.1, I believe, is the reason why this went down. Bad for business. And who did it impact? Reeva, with an outcome murder. So I believe whatever Reeva found on those phones would have been detrimental to Oscar Pistorius, in my opinion. And hence the murder, unfortunate murder of Reeva in this case. And if you guys, the crime sleuth, if you go into this case, Reeva had actually predicted her death. Not only did she predict her death, she also predicted who would do it. And I'm just going to see now if I can find that picture for you, Reeva. So here's a picture that Reeva had painted some time before the event of the event. So Reeva had painted this, and the meaning behind it, so there's the gunman there, and here she is, that she's on the way up, and she was. She was actually on the way up, whereas Oscar fame and fortune and all that kind of stuff was actually coming down, started dipping down now, right? Whereas Reeva was on the way up. And having all of these sixes is not a good thing for a man or woman. So you need to manage it. So here's this picture, and I believe she painted this way before, but she, in a sense, predicted her own death by a gunman. And horrible. If you do go look at the crime scene, it's very, very, very horrible. You can imagine 4 hollow point bullets at close range. So let's have a look the couple of days leading up, right? So we already see a 22 year, and it was common knowledge that there were issues, and brings the uncertainty here with this couple. And I guess many of us have had that situation where you're just going through the motions, but ultimately toxic as hell. And there's even hints of ending the relationship here. But I will also say, and this is the second confirmation of it, And for the locals, there's an element of premeditation here. There's a 22-4. Now we can say from an athlete's point of view, 22-4, getting fit, routine, gym. See, even here in the blue reflection zone, 27-9 is a premeditation number. There's an element of premeditation here. And also, it feels like, so there's two stories, obviously. There's two people in the story here, right? One, there's a level of premeditation, but the other one's also thinking of breaking up the relationship. And I believe, well, Oscar was released at the beginning of this year, right? So he served effectively 10 years for this crime. Maybe a little bit less. In fact, he was given a lot less sentence, and then the maniacal hedonist he is, thought he can get less, and at the appeals, they actually increased his sentence, which I don't think happens very often. But he should actually be serving a life sentence. There's an element of premeditation. So you're going to climb out of bed in the middle of the night because you hear a threat. And this was one of the arguments, I believe. Are you not going to check on your partner first before you start walking through the house with a loaded weapon? I don't think so. And a lot of bullshit around. 14 5s. Men behaving badly. There's definitely uncertainty leading up into this meeting, where they were supposedly met for Valentine's Day evening. And unfortunately ended in the murder of Reeva Steenkamp. Oscar, in my opinion, should have been sitting more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I'd look at this from a case study. I've never looked at it from this perspective as a local, and quite alarming. I mean, the event itself was terrible, terrible, terrible. It sent shockwaves. Again, gender-based violence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please share your thoughts and comments. Please stay safe, stay alert. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.